Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Carmen Andrea Harris of BohemianAcademics.com. I am a homeschool consultant and early literacy consultant, homeschool mom, certified life coach, as well as I have teaching experience in the elementary school area. I taught for 6 years in Atlanta Public Schools. So thank you and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited you're here. If you have been watching my series of videos, I have been doing videos on how to teach in, and then you fill in the blank. I've been going through the different states. My focus initially was to cover the southeastern states because that's the area in the world where my children and I reside in, and we're actually doing a social studies unit on the southeastern states. So I just wanted to cover all of the southeastern states first. I have experience homeschooling in Florida and Georgia, so I'm well versed on those states. And as I do more research, I'm learning more about other states and how different they are as it relates to homeschool, their laws and their requirements. So without further ado, in this video, we are going to be talking about how to homeschool in Alabama. So if you live in the state of Alabama and you have been wanting to homeschool your child, more specifically your elementary age child, because that is my area of expertise, early literacy, early childhood education, as well as homeschool, then you are in the right place. So every state homeschool law has 7 components that is going to break down the homeschool law requirements and what you need to do to remain compliant. Number 1, you have your options for homeschooling. Number 2, you have your school required for ages. Number 3, you have notification requirements. Number 4, you have teacher qualifications. Number 5, state mandated subjects. Number 6, assessment requirements. And number 7, immunization requirements. So we're going to go down the list of each subcategory of the law, and I'm going to give you in detail how you can be compliant while also creating a homeschool plan in Alabama that fits your lifestyle. I thought Alabama's law was very interesting. I'll admit, when I read through it, I was kind of like, you may as well just send your child to public or private school. But I could be looking at this from the perspective of having homeschool in Florida and Georgia, where there's lots of freedom to actually homeschool your child and teach your child the way that you see is fit. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into it. So your options for homeschooling, you have 3 options for homeschooling in the state of Alabama. Number 1, you have homeschooling with a church school. Number 2, you have homeschooling with a private school. And number 3, you have homeschooling using a private tutor. So I thought that was interesting. You don't really have the option to homeschool your children on your own. But again, I come from the background of homeschooling in Florida and Georgia. So let's dig deeper into those options. Option number 1 is homeschooling with a church school. If you decide to homeschool with a church school, you're going to enroll your child in church school. You're going to file a church school enrollment certification. You're going to keep an attendance register, and then you're going to comply with the church school policies. Option number 2, homeschooling with a private school. If you decide to homeschool with a private school, the first step is to notify your local superintendent. Number 2, you have to keep an attendance register. Number 3, you have to obtain proof of immunization. I believe you can be exempt, religious exemption or medical exemption if that's something that you need. And then the last component of homeschooling with a private school, you have to teach physical education, which I thought that was very interesting that they are mandating that you teach physical education. My youngest daughter would love that because in our homeschool schedule and the subjects that we stick to, she is always reminding me, Mommy, we didn't have PE. We have to have PE. So physical education is important, and I'm a fitness and wellness enthusiast, so I do agree that physical education is important for children. I mean, they need to go outside and play and explore nature and all that type of stuff, so I thought that was interesting that they included that in there. And then the third option is homeschooling using a private tutor. Now, if you select a private tutor, they must be an Alabama certified teacher. You have to ensure that your child is instructed in English and the same branches of study that are required to be taught in the public school system. And then the tutor must teach at least 3 hours a day for 140 days, which is about 40 days shorter than a lot of the other states that require 180 days of instruction. So that's a bit of flexibility, so to speak. And then the teacher tutor must teach between the hours of 8 to 4. So Alabama has some very specific guidelines. In my personal opinion, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for the freedom that people decide to homeschool their children for. However, there are some interesting facets in there that could make it work. And then let's go ahead. I have my notes here because I am a teacher all day, every day. The school required for ages are ages 6 to 17, meaning when your child or your children turn 6 years old, all the way up until the age of 17, they must be in school. They must be being schooled. There are notification requirements. We talked about that in the 3 different options for homeschooling. The teacher qualifications, there are none with the exception of option number 3 with you hiring a teacher tutor. They have to be a certified Alabama teacher. There are no state mandated subjects, which that's a lot of freedom there. Assessment requirements, there are no assessment requirements. There are no immunization requirements with the exception of option 2. So Alabama has a very interesting law. There are some freedom spots in there. And I keep talking about freedom because that's one of the biggest reasons that people tend to homeschool, I believe. So that's why I keep targeting that point of freedom. I am a big advocate for parents being able to teach their children their way. No, I don't mean, just do whatever. You don't have to teach your kids, because I feel like as a parent, you should know your child the best. You have the freedom to differentiate instruction. You have the freedom to say, okay, this child, she'll sit down at a desk and she'll do her work on the laptop or in a book. My other child, she's not going to do that. She's going to lay across the rug, or she wants to learn outside. So I feel like homeschool provides a lot of freedom to be able to do that with most of the laws that I have seen. So that's why I keep touching on that point for the state of Alabama. But enough of that. I am Carmen Andrea Harris of BohemianAcademics.com. Don't forget to get your free cheat sheet via the link in the website, and you can learn more about my services. And if you want someone to hold your hand and to help you create a homeschool plan that fits your lifestyle, as well as a homeschool plan that is compliant with your state law, because we don't want any problems, then I am your girl. So I'll see you on the next video.